Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legends Gamerverse 2-pack with War Machine and Omega Red. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at another Marvel Legends Gamerverse 2-pack. This time round we have War Machine and Omega Red. Now if I'm just going to be honest straight out the gate here, this is probably my least anticipated set out of the whole Marvel Legends Autumn program, which is of course a tribute to the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 game that came out in the early 2000s. And that's nothing against the character selection here, as I like War Machine and I like Omega Red. But in regards to Marvel Legends, this is the third time we have gotten each of these characters on this exact body. So this video is more of a comparison than it is a review, as collectors have already got their hands on both of these figures in the past. But of course it does match the theme, which is Gamerverse, because Hasbro can't use the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 branding for whatever reason, but the Gamerverse works for them. We get the pixelization on the packaging, that Gamerverse logo up top. On the back of the box we get a digital render of the characters in the Marvel vs. Capcom training room and a write-up that says James Rhodey Rhodes suits up as War Machine, going head to head against Omega Red and his weaponized cybernetic tentacles. So, as I said, not the most exciting of sets, but collectors are always curious to see the difference. So let's do some comparisons, shall we? Here we have War Machine and Omega Red out of the packaging with all of their accessories either side. And maybe I was a little too harsh on these initially, as now they're out of the packaging, there are more noticeable differences compared to their previous releases than I first thought. War Machine seems to have a new sort of upper torso layout, new shoulder pads, new head sculpt, and it's the same for Omega Red with this newly sculpted harness and a new sculpted hairpiece. Omega Red also for the first time has two full sets of hands, as well as those tentacle interchangeable pieces we've seen before. War Machine also has a couple of new elements, but they could have went crazy with War Machine. So there's definitely some pros and cons here that will give collectors options, and that's the most important thing. So we'll look at these individually and then get in comparisons. So let me move all of this out the way. We can focus on Omega Red and let's check out that new hair sculpt. So now we're zoomed in on this head. I actually think it is a new sculpt, both with the face, the bandana, the hair. It just looks very similar to the expression we got before. If I throw up a side by side of the version that came in the Amazon 5-pack, you can see that the expression's the same with the snarling sort of open mouth, but the sculpt is slightly different. Maybe it's a trick with the deco, I can't quite tell, but the hair's definitely different, the bandana's different as the logo's a little bit bigger and smaller, etc. So yeah, more differences on the head than I initially thought. But if we go back to this new Gamerverse version, you can see the additional detail with the metal sort of attaching to the mouth. The mouth is still painted. You've got the red eyes and the darkness and shading around the eyes with the hair poking through. Honestly, it's a really nice head sculpt, and then the hair has more volume either side and also on the back as well. If you've got the mullet that sort of runs down, and the ponytail does have a swivel to it as well, so you can rearrange that pose depending on the battle you're getting him in. But yeah, there's that all the way around. The hair soft enough that it will get up and out the way over these new thick shoulder pads for the articulation left and right. You can bury the chin as it's a disc and hinge. You can also get him looking up pretty good because the hair will just sort of slide down the back as well. So yeah, I honestly really like this head sculpt. I do think it is different in sculpt and paint, of course, in the previous version. It just looks very similar. Again, maybe a trick with the deco, but I still think this is the better head sculpt out of the two. So looking at the rest of Omega Red, it is the new upper torso harness that is the biggest sort of visual difference, but also the knee pads are different as well. So if I bring in the previous one, you can see here how the two harnesses differ, as you've now got the thicker 3 canisters on the front of the new one. The smaller ones are on the previous one. Also the shoulder pads are different in style and design, as they're a little bit wider and thicker on the new version. Also the belts are different shape, and then like I said, the knee pads look very similar, but they are different in sculpt as well. Also the previous one had the pins in the arms, The new one does have the updated pinless arm, so that's good to note. Unfortunately, they didn't take it that extra step and give us the pinless knees either. So the legs are still pinned, and other than the knees, they seem to be the same in sculpt. So yeah, there are a few little tweaks and changes, which I do think makes this the better Omega Red. Only subtly though. If you prefer the brighter red, that is the biggest difference with the Amazon pack. I will do a comparison to all three in a moment. But yeah, we've seen this Omega Red body now used plenty of times. Venom's used it. This one still has the holes on the shoulder, so the shoulder pad sort of stays in position. The butterfly joints are hidden under there, and that allows him to get him in some great poses. So yeah, I've always been a fan of this bigger Omega Red body, and now we've got the updated arms. They just need to update the legs. But yeah, it's a decent. So you've got these lower forearms. That's because they have these two attachments here for his cybernetic tentacles. One of the funnest elements of Omega Red are these cybernetic tentacles that just make him a lot of fun to pose and play with, as it's a lot more dynamic on a display. It would be great if they gave us these in bendy wire. However, I understand that can't really always happen, but they are sculpted in a way, but it's a soft enough plastic so you can manipulate them and wrap them around characters, but they will always sort of refine that shape again. Both of them have a slightly different sort of curvature to them, but yeah, you can definitely hook them around characters and give them a stretch and a pull, and again, they're just making fun to pose with. You just attach them in on the wrists. Again, easily done. You just sort of slide it in, maybe heat the arm up if you wanted to, but otherwise very easily done. Plug them in, and then they're nice and secure, and they stay in place for all these type of poses. And because you get the really deep butterfly joints, you can go crazy with this guy with the poses forward and back. So you get the long set that we have seen with all three versions of Omega Red, but you also get the smaller set as well, which may help with adding him into a display if you've got a packed shelf. Now, I've removed the tentacles just to point out for the very first time we have actually got a full set of hands. So now you get two grabby hands. Previously you only had one fisted, one grabby. Now you get two grabby hands to make yourself a set. They actually have the logo on there as well, and they've even included a second set of fisted hands as well. So yeah, for the first time we've actually got options for Omega Red hands. That's what makes him one of the better options out the three. So there we have Omega Red standing there. Again, I apologize, I use a white background. Sometimes it's not the best showing off action figures with white plastic, but he stands at just under 8 inches to the top of his ponytail. And like I said, this is the third opportunity we have gotten in the sort of modern Hasbro era to get Omega Red. The first time round was this version, second time round was the Amazon exclusive. So now you have your pick. I actually do think that this new one is the better aesthetically out of them all. He is also the one with the pinless arms and the new harness. He has the nice updated head sculpt. Now, the only one that came with an additional head was obviously the 5-pack version, but that was the same head as this one, just with additional paint. So again, you have options. All three of them come with small tentacles and big tentacles. All of them are a slightly different shade of silver though, so you can mix and match them if you really wanted to, but the harnesses, the knees are different, and also this one has the red boots, that one has the white boots. The reds are the closest, but I still think the reds are slightly different. You've got the gunmetal grey on the harness compared to just the flat grey on the harness for this one. So yeah, again, it is each to their own. You can pick your favourite version of Omega Red, and please let me know in the comments which one it is. If I spin around to the side for a second, you can see both of these have the pinned arms. He has the pinless arms. If I keep spinning around, you can get a look at the back as well, just to see the difference there too. So there you go. Now you have options with Omega Red. I always say options are never a bad thing. Not everyone has the same collection as you, and maybe you were missing Omega Red and you didn't have the previous two releases. Well, now you can get this one and get the better version at that. Let's go back to War Machine then, because just like Omega Red, there are some differences compared to those previous releases. Let me first get out the tape measure so you can see that he is under 7 inches, probably about 6 3/4, and it is another armor to add to your forever growing Marvel Legends Hall of Armor. So I never mind having to get another War Machine or an Iron Man and just keep adding to that shelf. This one's a little bit more pearlescent with the blue and then the black sort of grey tones, and yeah, definitely matches what you see in the game in regards to colour. But let's zoom in and check out the newness with that head and harness. Now, obviously, we have a lot of Marvel Legend Iron Men and War Machines, but I do think this head sculpt is different. If I compare it to the deluxe War Machine, you can see the sculpt is definitely different, not just the deco, and they also used that head on the Iron Man retro card version. So I believe this is different, at least for a War Machine, but I don't have every Marvel Legend Iron Man in front of me, so it could be a redeco. But it has the pearlescent blue on the sort of faceplate. When the light hits it nice, it does sort of shine a little bit, but not in that sort of marbleization way. It's got a nice sort of glimmer to it. You've got sort of the sensor on the side there as well with that dot of blue, but otherwise a nice simple Iron Man War Machine head sculpt. Well, War Machine obviously. The neck's the same, so it's got the dumbbell at the neck and at the top of the head, so you can get a lot of movement and rotation up there as well. You've also got the pattern in the black plastic on the top of the head as well. But if I spin it back to the front, it's the silhouette which is different as well, because this War Machine only has one cannon over the shoulder, not two, which does show you that this new harness is different in comparison. Like the whole upper torso, I think both bottom and top with the ab crunch are different. Same as the shoulder pads. These are like aesthetically different. So yeah, the silhouette of this War Machine is different compared to the previous ones. And again, it has this sort of cannon that spins round up top, which is a lot thicker than anything we have gotten in the past. That barrel is massive to add on those new effect pieces I will show you shortly. But yeah, if I spin that back round, again, there's rotation there on the cannon. It's just a ball joint essentially, that this cannon comes separately and you plug it on to the top, and then that gives you a lot of movement rotation, and you can sort of store it because there's like a track there, and that track sort of rolls forward and back. So yeah, you roll it forward, spin it round, and you can be shooting, or you spin it back, roll it down, and it can sort of sit over his back as well. So I really like the silhouette that these War Machines cut. So let's bring in the previous one. Well, not the previous one, but this is the deluxe one. So you can see he had both of the cannons on his shoulder, and again, the cannons are a different sculpt, so you could sort of create that sort of double barrel effect, where this one only has the one cannon, as you can see. So that's the sort of difference between the two of them initially. But then, of course, the sculpt of the actual harness sort of top layer, whoops, that fell off, is different as well. You can sort of see how the sculpt is different in regards to sort of every element. The sort of middle, the shoulders. Again, the shoulders are a lot thicker, and again, more accurate to the stylization from the game as well on this new version. So yeah, a lot of differences there as well. Also, the cuffs of the forearms are different, as you don't have those additional guns like the previous one did. So the forearms are different as well. And then I think the legs are the same. Looking at the legs, they look the same. Unfortunately, they still have the pins in the legs. Both of them had the pinned legs, but the pinless arms. So yeah, just again, they could have just went that extra step and give us the pinless arms and legs, and it would have been a completely pinless War Machine, but not quite there. So yeah, definitely enough difference to sort of associate them as two separate armors if you are creating a Hall of Armor, especially as one of them is sort of silver chrome and the other one's got that blue tint to it. But again, even the sculpt is different as well. So yeah, initially looked the same, just redecoed, but again, more differences on this new one than it first seems, with the upper torso, shoulders, harness, forearms, etc. In regards to his effect pieces, he doesn't come with too many for a War Machine, but he does come with new pieces that we haven't seen before, including this massive sort of blast effect. Now you can see the end of it there is smaller, so it fits into the barrel like so, and it sort of overlaps a little bit, so it looks like it's blasting out and creates this really nice blast effect that is seen in the game as well. So we haven't got that before on any of our previous War Machines. And if I spin it as well, you can see there is a little hole there, and if you have any of these little flight stands, you can actually just plug it in. Now this set doesn't actually come with any of these flight stands, but if you have the Wolverine set, it came with a couple, and you might have some in the collection anyway. So yeah, you can have some fun with that and make it look like it's blasting out if you wanted to for pictures and whatnot. He also has this little sort of rocket piece. Now the rocket's too big on the tail end to fit into the barrel, but maybe he can hold it. Maybe it's from the game, you'll have to tell me. But you can also plug in the little flight stands to that as well and have some fun with that if you wanted to. But yeah, there you go. That is your differences for this War Machine. You get a barrel, or I keep saying barrel, but what is it? A rocket and a blast. He also has a set of fisted hands for those more neutral poses, or maybe you want War Machine punching somebody, but I always appreciate that. We also get some open palm repulsor blast hands that do have the hole in to plug any of the 7,000 effect pieces you already have in your Marvel Legends collection. These are unfortunately though the forearms or the hands that don't have the hinge in. They are sort of fixed and sculpted in that one facing forward position, which I guess isn't too bad, but there you go. You have that as a full set, but no repulsor blast. And just like Omega Red, there have been 2 previous opportunities to add this style of War Machine to your collection, but unlike Omega Red, these are all additions to your Hall of Armor if that's what you are building in your collection. So all of these are a different sort of tone as well. You've got the chrome sort of silver, you've got the white version for the animated, again sorry about the white background, but yeah, it's white for the animated style War Machine, and then you've got the sort of more pearlescent blue here for the Gamerverse version. So all of them are slightly different, but again the biggest difference is the sculpt of the harness and the shoulder pads and the actual forearms. I think from the legs to the crotch they're probably exactly the same, just different colors. So yeah, that is your 3 different War Machines to add to the collection. I actually prefer the bigger chunkier shoulder pieces, the previous 2. You can see all of these actually have the pins in the knees. Unfortunately all of them have the pinless arms, which is a nice touch, but didn't go that extra mile. There you go from the back as well. So yeah, there you go, 3 different War Machines. If I can spin them all around without falling over, let me know in the comments below which is, these are going to fall, ain't they? Which is your favorite version of War Machine? I think I'm genuinely still leaning towards the very first deluxe version, because I prefer, well, my mind's eye of War Machine are the greys and the silvery tones rather than the blue or white, but let me know. And just to further add to those display options, if you have the original deluxe version, it came with an unhelmeted James Rhodes head that does work on this Marvel Legend. But let's get a new one too. And then here we have 2 other Marvel Legend Iron Men that you could use in a Gamerverse setup with this 90s modular armor. We have the red and gold, and then the repaint in the black and pearlescent blue, very much similar to this War Machine. Now the War Machine in the middle is more accurate as a representation of War Machine. The Iron Man repaint is more a variant, a player 2 of Iron Man, if you will. But again, it gives you options, and if you're building a comic Hall of Armor, then none of that even matters. Just add them to the shelf. Again, I apologise about the white background, but in conclusion, with War Machine and Omega Red, do you need them for your collection? No, of course not. But if you are building like a separate Gamerverse setup, then these are more accurate to what you've seen in the game in regards to their aesthetics and style. But I also think if you are building a comic display and you want the best representation of characters, then that is the better Omega Red. Now, War Machine, you can take it or leave it, as the other versions are so similar. It genuinely will fall down to your own preference within the colours and his design of armour, but it's still a nice War Machine if you are missing the previous 2 in your collection. So yeah, again, as a collector you have options. Not everything is for you, and that's okay. So pick your poison, but there's the old and new, so you can see for yourself. Let's wrap up with some comparisons, but first a disclaimer for the people in the comments. I've already sent back the Wolverine 2-pack to Tom, aka Mini Plastic Multiverse, and I have sent back the Captain America 2-pack to Rich, aka Displayed Once. Thank you again to my friends in the community for helping me get these figures a little bit earlier so I can review them for the people. Again, to educate you on your own purchasing decisions. I will never tell you what you should or shouldn't like. Not many people are going to watch this review anyway, as this 2-pack is a little less exciting than those. But again, there's always people that ask. I don't have them anymore. So here we have the Secret Wars Captain America and Iron Man. Here we have the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, and then the Maximum series. Couple of Legend females, we've got Black Widow and She-Hulk. Here we have some X-Men. This is the 97 version of Wolverine and Cyclops. And apologies, I didn't want to take her off my nice little setup. So here we have the Psylocke from the Gamerverse 2-packs with War Machine and Omega Red. But again, that Psylocke is easily one of the best figures of this lineup so far. Here we have the other overlooked part of that 2-pack, and it's a very solid Thanos. There's rumours circling that we're going to get a new Onslaught. Here's the old one. Here we have Maximum Hulk. And then it's only a matter of time before I get a brand new Gamerverse Juggernaut to pose with these. So here we have the old Build-A-Figure for now. And as always, let's wrap up with some of the Who crew. We have Frogman, Tigra, and Jeff. And of course, last but never least, we have Captain Britain and Hal. Fire, Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Don't Say Capcom Gamerverse 2-pack with War Machine and Omega Red. Now, like I've already said, these are not essential to a Marvel Legends collection, as we have already had multiple opportunities to add these characters and represent them in plastic on your displays. However, if you prefer the slight tweaks and changes to the aesthetic of these, then get them. It's your collection, you create the rules, and there are more differences with these figures than we initially thought to better match the style of the game. I do prefer that Omega Red compared to the previous two, but like I said, War Machine, it is completely personal preference depending on the colour palette on display that you're trying to build. If you're creating a Gamerverse shelf, then these two characters are absolutely fair game as they are on that roster, but for the comic shelf, again, up to you. Let me know what you're going to do in the comments below, like always. But if you like Marvel Legends, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Hit all on the notification bell. Don't miss out on the video, and please hit that join button. Become a channel member. Either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. Come and join me on a live stream and talk some toys. Support the channel, beyond the channel. It's so, so simple. Follow me on Instagram. It's Dan Who. I'm on X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will, of course, see you on the next one.